Hello, Wealth family. This is Sierra, the Wealth Empress. I hope you guys are having a great day. It is 10:55 Central Standard Time on September the 22nd, and this is going to be this week's markup. Please forgive me if you can hear my dog in the background. All right, so we are going to start on the dollar, US dollar index on our monthly time frame. We're going to mark our monthly zones here. We're going to mark our weekly zones. All right, and then we're going to come down to our daily time frame here. I'm going to look within my zones to see if I have any fair value gaps or trend lines that I see needs to be marked up. I do see one point of rejection here. And if I draw it out here, this is our second point. So as we can see, price was consolidating and then price broke out of that consolidation. Now it looks like it's retesting the consolidation to go lower here. Let's continue down to our 4-hour time frame here. All right, so you can see the consolidation a little clearer. Here's our consolidation. Price comes back into the consolidation. We will want to see price continue lower, but it is sitting inside of a fair value gap here. All right, and I can also mark another trend line here. Right, so price was in a little channel here. Now we're coming back into the channel. So we can come down to our 1-hour time frame. And if we zoom into our 1-hour time frame, last week we can see here that price came and retested underneath our monthly low. And now price has ran last week's high here. I'll just double check. All right. So price didn't really run it because we do like to see for price to come outside, but it rejected it. This is where it created it on Friday and then it rejected it here. It rejected it here Sunday and then rejected it again Monday at midnight, and then price traded lower here. So now if we zoom out here, right, we look at the market, we can see that price was making bullish structure here, right? But let's find the area that took us to our last low here. So we got a pull back here, and then pretty much this whole area is a sell, right? Because this is our last. I'm trying to think of my words. We're going low. This was our last lower low here, lower high, and then this created our last lower low. So technically, we're still in sales until price breaks this structure area here. So from this fair value gap here, where price currently is, you can see how price broke, rejected this area, right? Then price broke it, came back, retested, sold. Then it got back on top of it, retested, continued. Now we're back in this area here. This area here is going to tell us whether we are going to buy or sell. Okay. So we're just looking for price to either come underneath, right? Retest it. And then we'll take the last week's low here. We got a fair value gap right here. Okay. Or if we are looking for buys, me personally, I'm going to wait for price to get on top of this trend line And right here, we have a fair value gap. Okay. So you have two fair value gaps to play off of. Okay. So we either get one of these here. All right. So that is the dollar. And the dollar determines our direction for our USD cross pairs. So let's go into EU. We're going to start off on our monthly time frame here and mark up our monthly zones. If you are in the free Discord and you are looking at my chart, just know that the black lines are your monthly zones, red lines, weekly zones, okay? All right, we'll come to our daily time frame. I don't really see anything in the daily. I can mark a trend line up here. I'm going to put it on majority of price here. Then I'm going to come down to my 4-hour time frame here, and we can see EU is just opposite of our dollar, right? We got that consolidation. Price broke out of the consolidation, price retested it, and then price bought here to our zone. All right, so price has broken and retested our monthly high. We can look from this area again. You see, we are inside of a fair value gap here. All right, and we're either looking for rejection here, and I would just take it back down to the trend line, or we're looking for a break retest, and then you can take it back up to this wick here on EU. All right, GU is pretty much going to be the same thing. So it looks like GU is inside of our monthly zone here. All right, so last week's 50% and our monthly high is the same area here. Let's come down to our daily here. And here on our daily, we can see again how we have that consolidation right there. Price broke out of it, and then price came back into this fair value gap here on the daily. I am going to mark my daily trend line here. I'm going to put it on majority of price here since we already got rejection from that area. And then I'm going to come down to my 4-hour time frame. Let's zoom out, and you should be able to see the buy structure here, right? So this is possibly a correction again for a continuation back up to that high. So now price is sitting at last week's low and a trend line. We just got a nice morning star candlestick pattern here, and price left us a fair value gap after currently sitting in a fair value gap. So what we're going to do here, we should play off of this gap, okay? This gap is going to tell us if we are buying or selling. We can see price do this or this here, okay? All right, and these two fair value gaps will be my take profit. Here for the buy, here for the sell, okay? So that's EU and GU and the dollar. Let's come on over to GJ here. When it comes to the yen pairs, GJ, UJ, EJ, I mark up the Japanese yen future and I use it the same way as I use the dollar. But we can currently just sit here and look and see from our 4 hour that price is inside of consolidation here. All right, so you should be able to see that price is moving sideways here. All right, but we are going to go to our monthly. Going to mark up my monthly zones. And then I'm going to come over here to my weekly. I'm going to mark up last week's candle here. All right, we're going to zoom out here. And the price ran, right, all of these wicks here. So that was a run of liquidity. Price created an evening star here, but we are still inside of the zone. Price never closed outside. So the yen should be heading back up, right? All it's doing is bouncing from here to here. So it gave us a morning star here. Looks like price is trying to pull back into this fair value gap here. Price pulls back into this fair value gap. I'd like to see price continue back higher, right? Because that's what we're in. We're in consolidation. I just marked up this fair value gap here just to see where we were to 50% of this gap here. And 50% has already been hit right here. So I doubt that it's going to come back down here. But again, we just mark it up, right, for all possibilities. So price comes back to here. We want to see price buy back up here to our 50%. Technically, we've already started a weekly CRT move here. This is Sunday, so price traded outside of last week's low and it has come back inside. We want to see it come back and retest it or come back into that fair value gap to continue higher to the 50%. Okay. If it doesn't hold, then we want to wait for price to get underneath that fair value gap, retest it, and then we can take it back to last month's low. All right. And that's the yen. So if the yen is buying, then we want to see GJ and EJ selling. UJ follows the dollar mainly, okay? So we had JPY news this evening, which is why we have all of this consolidation. And then pretty much just since market open, GJ has been consolidating here, okay? So let's go to our higher time frame. All right, and we've ran last month's high, which is something that we want to see for sales, right? If the yen is buying, we want to sell this, and that was our first confluence for our sell. Let's come over here to our weekly time frame. Mark our weekly zones. All right, and last week and last month zones, that's not even a pip apart, so I'm just going to leave my monthly zone. All right. Let's come down to our daily here. And if we zoom out, right, we can see that GJ isn't really in a good trend, right? 90% of the time, the market isn't trending. The market is looking like this, right? So we had a little uptrend over here. And then after we broke this high here, price just kind of stuck in this area, but it also at the same time moved higher and gave us a new high. It just was ugly movement, right? So there's nothing else. I can mark a trend line here. It's probably cleaner on the lower time frame, but we'll see. We can mark a trend line here. Let's come to our 4 hour. Yeah, we can get it cleaner on the 4 hour. All right. So now prices ran our monthly high here. We have a beautiful fair value gap that I would love to see price pull back into, just like there's a fair value gap underneath on the yen, right? And if it pulls back underneath and then buys, we want to see this pull back here into this gap here and then sell. Beautiful and easy trade. GJ is going to be one of those ones that I'm looking out for. So I'm going to mark this fair value gap up. So I'm going to come down to my 1 hour time frame and I can tighten it up because I see another fair value gap here. All right. And this was the last area where price rejected here. Price traded through. Here we got a little minor structure break and retest, right? Now we got a break. We want to see price come right back here for our retest. This is going to be our entry for our sell here. And it's a good 248 pips there. So GJ is going to be the main one on my watch list. I'm not going to mark up any of the other JPY pairs. That should actually be good enough. That one trade should actually be good. Euro odd is already gone. I'm not going to mark that up. I marked up GBP odd for y'all earlier, and the entry is approaching GBP odd. This is another monthly CRT move. I did a whole separate analysis on that, so you can go back and watch that. All right, so let's mark up GBP CAD because GBP CAD also looked like a nice sell, right? We had some consolidation here. Price broke out and price left us a nice fair value gap to come back into. So let's delete this chart here. Let's come to our monthly. I'm going to mark this one yellow because I'm looking for that one also. All right. Marking up my monthly zones here. Then I'm going to mark up my weekly. All right, and then we are here on our daily time frame. We do have a trend line right here that we can mark up. And I'm going to put it on majority of price here. All right, and then I'm going to come down to my 4 hour time frame here. And here we are again. We are back at our weekly 50% here. And then I see a fair value gap here. So I am going to mark this fair value gap up. Price last broke this area, so I definitely want to see price come back and retouch this area. I'm not going to sell from here. Let's see. Yeah, I need for price to come back into this fair value gap. Price comes back into this fair value gap here. I am going to target last week's low. I'm not going to target this area here just because of this trend line. I rather get stopped out and take profit versus price possibly coming back down and then bouncing off of our trend line again, right? So I would take profit here in this hourly fair value gap right here. So from here to here, 148 pips, more than enough on a zone, okay? It's possible though that price can continue from this area here. If price does continue from this area, I'm more than likely not going to get in it. I want to see it pull back a little bit more because again, this area here was our last area of rejection here. So I want to see price come back and retest that same area, okay? GBP NZD here looks like it needs to continue its buy. We got an impulse correction. Price is looking like continuation here. The entry for this happened last week. We caught some of this buy, but we did not hold it until throughout the weekend. I don't really like to hold trades throughout the weekend if I can help it. I want to see if Euro NZD is close to hitting TP. Yeah, Euro NZD is already gone. And AUD NZD too. Okay, still 100 pips up there to our high. All right, so right here we have a fair value gap. Not sure if price is going to dip back in, especially after giving us this impulsive move already. Let's come to our 4-hour here. All right, so like I was saying, price comes back to the last area that it rejected. If I just draw this line right here on this rejection, you see how it touches this area here. This was the last area of rejection, which is why price gave us this little double bottom here and then continue higher. Um, the only way I would ever say to get in this is if we get a pullback. So this fair value gap right here, right? Our last point of rejection, that price broke. I would see if price will pull back some. And then I'm going for last month's high. This is going to be 2 TPs. First TP here, second TP, last month's high, okay? Um, First TP is great, 105 pips, okay? That's the only way I would buy this because it's already pretty far from its original buy entry, okay? So that's pretty much it for my watch list for this week. GBP pairs seems to be what's going to pay out. I actually want to look here on my indicator on GBP CAD. Price is already moving down here on GBP CAD, but it is a possibility. Remember, when price comes into the middle of our RSI, that it can bounce up. So I'm waiting for London session. And London session, I will be recording the sessions and putting it up. Tuesdays are my trading days, so I'm either entering Tuesday London session or Tuesday New York session. So hopefully this helps you. Leave me a comment down below if you want me to add something to my watch list to mark up for you guys for next week. Leave me a comment down below if you get into a trade, and leave a comment down below and let me know if these markups are helping you throughout your week. All right. to like and subscribe, and have a great trading week.